Welcome to the struggle. Got a tough topic today, I'll tell you what. Tough topic. I'm Rob. If you are struggling, if you want to be updated, informed on the class war, and believe me, there is one happening, whether or not you believe in it or not. It's just like the wind. Whether you believe in it or not, because you can't see it right in front of your eyes, it exists. Oh, look at all the geese. The Flying V. Remember the Mighty Ducks movie and they would do the Flying V? Don't geese do a Flying V? Do ducks do a Flying V? I don't think ducks do a Flying V. I think it's geese. They should have been the Mighty Geese. Your move, Disney. So today's going to be a tough topic, if you can tell by the title. And if you want to follow along, I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, if you don't believe there's a class war going on, God bless you. Maybe you're naive, maybe you don't think it's happening, but the wealthy are very organized and they're well funded. So the only way to combat that is not only to have some knowledge, know your rights, know the laws, know what's going on, pay attention, because the only way you know how to stand your ground is if you know your rights. It's as simple as that. But overnight, laws are changing. I never forgot one of my teachers. I forgot what teacher. I forgot when, but I'll never forget what he said. He said, they're making laws that could change your life overnight while you're sleeping. And that's what's happening, man. So we're going to talk about it in a second. But before I get into should being homeless make you a criminal? No, it shouldn't. I don't know how this is like a debate in America. How people could think homeless Americans should be in jail, criminals, just for being at the most vulnerable point in their life. It's a sad, sad time in our society. Before we get into that, I want to show you something. Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. Let me show you what I drink, okay? Now, I've turned some people onto this drink. So before you judge, okay? Again, don't judge me. Before you judge, try it for yourself, all right? I'll show you this drink that I make for myself. Just discovered it. It is delicious. I'm gonna start to creep it up. I'm gonna show you this drink, okay? We're gonna get into the homelessness thing if you're just joining. Should being homeless make you a criminal, but I'm trying to get people to subscribe. And if you want weird recipes while being informed on the class war and hopefully being entertained, I'm trying to bring you some information every 5 days a week, every weekday. I wanted to show you this drink that I've been imbibing for a little while now. Yes, it looks funky, it looks weird, but it's delicious, and I don't have a name for it. So if you got a name for this drink, I'm going to tell you what it is in a second. Again, don't judge me, but I have not come up with a name for this yet. It is, as you can tell, lemonade on the bottom. If you're just joining, don't judge me. We're going to talk about should being homeless make you a criminal. I'm trying to give you a good recipe for the summer. This is the new summer drink, all right? Lemonade on the bottom, blonde shots on the top. It's like a lemonade macchiato. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Lemonade on the bottom and a couple of blonde espresso shots on the top. Blonde espresso is just a lighter espresso. It's got more caffeine. It's roasted lighter, so it's got a less bitter taste. It's less heavy, but this is what I drink. You see how it's separated? It is so good. I'm telling you. Try this. Try this. It's hydrating. It's got a bite. It's caffeinating. This girl I work with was like, you should try the charged lemonade from Panera. And I was like, is that the one that killed people? She's like, yeah. And I was like, and you're telling me what? To try it? Like, they're still selling that? I'm sure, like, that was a crazy PR move. Like, people were probably trying to eat that. It's just like one of them food challenges. So here's the drink. Lemonade and espresso shots on top. Blonde espresso, you see? Don't judge me. Oh, damn, that's good. All right, let's get into this homeless chat. This is a tough one. To be honest, I'm just kind of avoiding it. Reading the story is infuriating. I'm going to take you through the story about how soon in America being homeless can make you a criminal. Do you think you should be a criminal just for being homeless? Remember, if you're homeless, you are at the most vulnerable point in your life. I've been there, speaking as a former homeless person. Should that be penalized? Should you be punished for that? Sometimes it's at no fault of your own. Remember that. I always thought naive. No, actually, I didn't think this. Let's be honest. I've had experiences with the police since I was very young, where I knew where the cards laid on the table right away. I didn't think you had to be guilty. I didn't think you had to have committed a crime. I didn't think you need to be in the position of being punished to go to jail. Power doesn't work like that. Sometimes because they have the power, they can just do it. So I've never thought that, but I think a lot of people, that's what I should have said. A lot of people think here in America, if you're in jail, it's because you did something wrong. You've been found guilty, and that's just not the truth. And now we're looking at potentially people just because they're homeless being made into criminals. It's surreal. This is very dystopian. This is just unreal. And again, if you're just joining and you want to read along, the article I put in the description. This comes from the newrepublic.com, I think it is, and you can follow along or read it after. I highly suggest this article. That's why we're talking about it today, because this is scary stuff. This could be affecting, I forget, 653,000 people, 653,000 Americans are homeless right now, okay? This could change their lives for the much worse. And just think about that. If you got a nice warm home to go home to, there's people living in their cars, there's people living on the street, and now they could be going to jail just for being in the worst predicament and the worst situation of their life. And some of these people are working. Some of these people just can't afford rent. We're going to get into all that. You can read the article. I linked it right down below. Also, if you're just joining, please hit subscribe. This is the Class War. We talk about the struggle. I come to you live 5 days a week. And the reason I say hit subscribe and the bell, the little notification bell, is because I can't promise what time I'm going live. I just can't do it. But I can promise that 5 days a week, I will be bringing you information, entertainment, and knowledge. Whether that knowledge comes in weird recipes, blonde shots and lemonade. Damn, that is good. I'm addicted to that drink. It's so good. Woo! And it's very caffeinated. Or I'm talking about American politicians, cities wanting to criminalize you for just falling down on your luck. All right, let's get into this New Republic article. So it says the Supreme Court, the title is Supreme Court on the verge of criminalizing homelessness. Now, they give you a little backstory. There's been a tsunami of homelessness from lost income, backlog rent, etc., since the pandemic, right? At January 2023, there was a survey taken where they said homelessness in America is up 653,000. Oh, I think there might be more homeless people. I think it's up. Again, it's in the article, so just bear with me. I'm going off of memory and some brief chicken scratch notes. I don't have anything I could read off of. As you can see, I am at an estuary. I believe this one's an estuary. Yeah, it's got to be. I love estuaries. If you ever get a chance to go to an estuary, go. So that they say that is up. The 653,000 homeless people is up from 2020 to 70,000. It's a 12% increase. So we've seen homelessness jump 12% just in a year. That should be terrifying. That says something's wrong with the system, okay? Now, they talk about the backstory here is the Supreme Court case that involves the city, Martin versus the city of Boise, Idaho. And that Supreme Court case basically gave protections to people who were homeless. It said, so the case was brought up Martin, I guess, versus the city of Boise. It said they were trying to create laws that would ban people from camping in public. And that Supreme Court ruling basically said if there's no available shelter space, which it's very hard to find homeless shelter here in Massachusetts, I think there's like, I forget how long the waiting list is, but it's a long time. And remember, Massachusetts, it gets frigid at night, frigid during the day. So if you're homeless, there's no room in the shelters right now in Massachusetts. I was just reading that article, and that was like mid-December. So it's probably only getting worse. And let's just say, or I'll just state this. If you live at home, if you have parents, grandparents, brother, sister, uncle, whatever that you can go live with, you don't get to chime in on this conversation, okay? You don't get to have an opinion. Just blatant. I'm going to be right up front with that. I don't think you should have an opinion on this. You might, and you might not like me for saying that, but I'm speaking to someone who's got no family. I got no one to go move in with. I haven't had parents in a long time. I have grandparents and even longer. So I've been on my own for quite a while, and I'm speaking as a former homeless person. I never understood. I used to work for this guy who, when I commented on business or politics, he'd go, well, how many businesses have you owned? Why should you have an opinion? And then he would say something about drugs, or he would talk about cannabis and call it a drug. And I go, well, how long have you done cannabis? Why do you get an opinion on it? So there's a double standard, and I'm going to take part of that right now, mostly because of my anger. I probably, would like to hear people out on this, but I feel like some of these entitled people who take parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, family for granted and think that just anybody can do that. I'm here to tell you that not anybody can, okay? When S hit the fan for me, I didn't get to go move in with mommy or daddy or grandma or grandpa or my uncles or aunts. I lived in my car. So people, and I've argued with people online with this, and I've stopped arguing with them because they said, it's not our fault. Just go live with your parents until you can save up enough to buy a house. And I said, what about the people without parents? And it was like, they couldn't comprehend. They were like, who doesn't have parents? I was like, a lot of people, man. A lot of people, parents die when they're young kids, or something happens, or their parents fall down on their luck, or you know what I mean? Bunch of different situations where you don't have that reliable family to count on. So let's get that out of the way. So this Martin versus City of Boise, this is the Ninth Circuit Court ruled on this and said when there's no available shelter, people can't be criminalized for camping in public. And it was a violation of the 8th Amendment. You don't know what that is? That is the writing that says we can't be doing cruel and unusual punishment here in America. And I would absolutely qualify, that was loud, I would qualify making people who are homeless and just trying to exist, they're camping in public, but let's be honest, that's because they have nowhere to go. Making them criminals is definitely cruel, right? These people are at their most vulnerable. It's cruel. And it's unusual because it's like, well, if the city has the resources to send the police after them, lock them up, send them to court, whatever the circumstances, they have the funding for that, but they don't have the funding for another shelter where we don't even have to ruin people's lives. Listen, when you get arrested, you go to jail, that changes everything, especially depending on what the charges are. I mean, that could live on your record forever. That could, if you're in jail and you can't afford bail, you could lose your job. I mean, there are so many ripple effect consequences from that. So I believe, like the Ninth Circuit said, that was a violation of the cruel and unusual punishment cited in the 8th Amendment. So now, that's the past. That's the history. We've laid down the groundwork. Let's bring you up to speed. Again, the New Republic article is down in Catface Enthusiast. What's up, Tweaker? Sometimes I don't understand the comments. Is everybody just a troll? I just don't get it. I don't know. What's up, Cat-faced Enthusiast? You talk to your friends like that? You kiss your mother with that mouth? Or no, as I used to like to say, you kiss your sister with that mouth, cat face? Anyways. Or maybe we don't know each other. Maybe you're sarcastic like I am. And that's your way of if you're from New England, that's like an endearing way to speak to. Not tweaker, but whatever. People are fucked, man. So let's bring you up to speed. Again, New Republic article in the description. if you want to read this for yourself. And if you hit subscribe and the little notification bell, please hit subscribe. It's free for you. It means the world to me. I'm out here trying to bring you information, life-changing information, the laws, the things going on in the class war, 5 days a week, 5 weekdays. So that's why I say hit the notification bell so you get notified when I go live. It would mean the world to me, for real. I'm trying to do this thing on YouTube, trying to bring you vital information and be entertaining. Isn't that right, Catface enthusiast up in the comments? What do you do on YouTube, Catface, if you're still here? Do you just show people cats' faces? Are you really like an enthusiast for cat faces? That's a weird name, but I don't know. Maybe it's cool. Is your YouTube channel just like all different collage videos of cats' faces? What kind of cats? House cats? Big cats? I need to know more, Catface. Weird name. I like it, even though you called me a tweaker. We just have some quiet time. We just lock eyes. That's uncomfortable for people. Do that in a negotiation. Here's another little life tip. You say something in a negotiation, just let it be quiet. They're going to get real uncomfortable real quick. And you might win the negotiation. All right, so let's bring you up to speed. We went over Martin versus the city of Boise, where the Ninth Supreme Court said it is cruel and unusual punishment and a violation of the 8th Amendment. You cannot make people camping in public who are homeless the most vulnerable criminals. Cruel and unusual. Now, here we are today. And Grants Pass, the city of Grants Pass in Oregon, is pushing for the Supreme Court to hear the case Grants Pass versus Johnson. This is a case from 2018, and it's the city of Oregon, Grants Pass, is trying to get an ordinance to ban camping, I'm guessing in public. I'm not sure if it says that. It's been struck down once, and it was struck down once, I think, by the Ninth Circuit. I'm not sure. But it was struck down once by a court, citing that there were not enough shelters in Grants Pass, the city, to house the homeless. These people were forced into the predicament of camping in public. Not many people are choosing that, okay? I know there's van life and Instagram reels and all that BS, and some people are doing it. Majority of people, especially, remember, there are families that are homeless. There are people that are just down on their luck. There are teens that are homeless. These are your fellow Americans, okay? I need to remind people that. People alienate themselves. They don't feel familiar with this homelessness. A lot of people that are living comfy, they think it's some other people. It doesn't affect them, but these are your fellow Americans. I want you to remember that, okay? These are Americans, brothers, sisters, daughters, husbands, dads, moms, cousins, uncle. These are our neighbors that are homeless, the worst position they could be in life, down on their luck, the most vulnerable. And Grants Pass, shame on you, city in Oregon. They are trying to push for the Supreme Court to reverse that court ruling that struck down them being able to criminalize people camping. Okay, again, it was a violation of the 8th Amendment. They didn't have enough shelters, so we can't perform cruel and unusual punishment on these people who are homeless. And wait a minute, where's my other piece of the notes? So what this, if the Supreme Court, which is just filled with nutbags right now, right? They're just taking bribes, they're taking stuff from wealthy donors. It's corruption at its finest. I'm not going to talk about that right now. We can at some point. Just look up Clarence Thomas and his wife and, all the stuff they've accepted from billionaires. It's horrific. But if this Grants Pass case gets overruled, it can open the door for cities, states, counties to just criminalize being homeless. There will be no more protections, no more, hey, this is cruel and unusual punishment. People who are homeless, shouldn't be arrested just for being homeless. Are people, not I always thought, I keep saying that, but I think a lot of people think if you break the law, then you go to jail. They're trying to make the law having to have a house when there isn't any laws protecting people from rent being skyrocketed or corporations buying millions of homes and turning it into rent factories. There's no laws to protect them from that. But if you can't afford your rent, then there's a law to make you a criminal just because you couldn't afford rent. I mean, we need to break the stigma. We need to shatter that reality for so many people who think, well, if you're in jail, it's because you broke the law. Are you aware that they're changing the laws every day? They're trying to change this law, making it okay to just make you a criminal for being homeless. That shouldn't sit well with anybody. And if it does, leave it in the comments. Tell me why. Tell me why you think just for being homeless, people should be considered criminals and be locked up. And explain away the strain of the resources of police. I mean, think about that. Imagine, like, the police having to waste their time on just, like, rounding up people for being homeless. Is that what the police force is for? Really? Is that the crime we need them going after? People that are home? I promised myself I wasn't going to lose it over this article, but I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time with this fucking country trying to make homeless people criminals. And by the way, full disclosure, my brother is homeless. I'm a former homeless person. So not only does this, you could say, affects me, but I've had first-hand experience with this. And let me tell you, it ain't fun. It ain't a choice. People aren't choosing this. Some van lifers, some kids are like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And listen, back in the 60s, it was like a hippie thing. But for the most part, people are down on their luck. So, for real, like, this is just insane, especially when you look at some of the stats that they mentioned in this New Republic article. What is up? What the kale? What the kale? Is that your name in the comments? What the kale? Or kale? Kale? I don't know how to pronounce that. What is going on, man? We're talking about this Supreme Court case, Grants Pass, City in Oregon, trying to push their case to the Supreme Court to criminalize just being homeless. That's it. They want to allow the laws to make you a criminal if you're homeless. This has been struck down before in Martin versus Boise City, and it was struck down, the court citing it was a violation of the 8th Amendment, that it was cruel and unusual punishment, which I 100% agree with. If you're homeless, you're the most vulnerable in our society, you're down on your luck. Why would we just make you a criminal for being homeless? Why are police resources being sent to that? Why are the courts getting tied up for that? And how the F can we house these people in a jail? Does no one see the irony? I promised myself I wasn't going to lose it. Take a breath. Is this not irony? That they'll house them in a jail, but they won't build another fucking shelter? Is this not making anybody else, like, I feel like I'm going to have a conniption that I'm like, these people will house them in a jail, but not a shelter. In a jail, not a shelter. This is what kind of... You can't say this is the land of the free. You cannot claim America's the land of the free. If they criminalize homelessness, if they open this door, they overturn the Ninth Circuit, if the Supreme Court overturns the Ninth Circuit's ruling that it is a violation of the 8th Amendment to cruel and unusually punish people for just being homeless. That's it. There's no other charge. You're just homeless. You're out on your luck. Since 2023, homelessness has continued because there's been 1.07 something million evictions. The Harvard Joint Center for Housing says renters are spending more. 22.4 million households, half of all renters, cannot afford their rent according to the standard that rent should be 30% of your income. Okay? And this... I'm trying not to lose it. But Grants Pass, Oregon, F you. F you right in the Grants Pass. Grants Pass trying to get it to the Supreme Court. We all know what's going on with the Supreme Court. They're corrupt. It's like a little mafia. They just take bribes. They do what their donors say. And if this case is overturned and our 8th Amendment is violated, because if you're vulnerable, if you're out down on your luck, and remember, when you're homeless, your world flips upside down, okay? I was luckily homeless with a job. But if you're homeless and then they arrest you for it, you go to jail and you lose your job, when you're applying for a new job, what's your address? What do you think the bias is of people going for a job and they're like, listen, I'm homeless right now, you know, time's tough. You think that guy's going to get a job over somebody else? This is a ripple effect for our entire community, and I consider America our community. That's not how the 8th Amendment works. Then break it down. Reaganogenic? I thought that was Reaganomics. I was going to say, Jesus. Annabella Hermes, what up? How does the 8th Amendment work then? Put it in the live chat. Because as far as I'm concerned, cruel and unusual punishment is exactly that. And what they're trying to do is flip that. They're trying to make it... They're trying to remove that protection so cities, states, counties, depending where you live, they could, like Grants Pass. That's what they're trying to get. The Grants Pass is saying, like, hey, we want to be able to govern ourselves, essentially, states' rights, federal rights, whatever. And they're trying to get this removed, so essentially they could say it's illegal for you to camp in public. Yeah, we don't have room in the shelters. This is, again, does anybody hear the irony in this? They're going to say, we don't have enough shelters to home the homeless, so we'll arrest you, give you a criminal record, and we'll house you in jail. Does anybody hear what I'm saying? I'm saying these words out loud. Like, how I don't understand how a court, how humans could hear like what I'm saying out loud, how they could say this out loud, how they could say like, hey, you can't camp in public. We don't have room to house you. Yes, you're the most vulnerable. Yes, this could be very cruel to arrest you, but there, we'll house you in jail. That's psychotic. That's absolutely crazy. 8th, the jails can't be cruel and unusual punishment or every person. Yeah, the jail isn't cruel and unusual punishment. It's not about the jail. It's about being a criminal for being homeless. That's the cruel and unusual punishment. The cruel, unusual is that you didn't commit a crime. The crime here, what they're trying to make criminal, again, let me make this very clear. What they're trying to criminalize is camping in public because there's no room at the shelters, because they don't have family, parents, anything to go to. So they're forced to find a place, again, public, not on private property, where they can just exist. They're just trying to exist in this society. This is how intact our society is. They're like, we got to go to a public place because we have nowhere else to go. Do you not Reaganomics? I'm just going to call you Reaganomics because that's Reaganogenic. Reaganogenic. I'm very sorry. I'm not trying to like butcher your name. When I got the sun in my eyes, so at first I thought it said Reaganomics. So essentially the cruel and unusual part, and I'm sure listen, I didn't get to read the whole ruling on the Martin versus City of Boise, but what I'm surmising, again, I'm bringing this to you because, you know, I think people should be aware of this. And in Reaganomics, if you want to look more into it, I 100% agree. Maybe with more information, your mind will be changed. Maybe with more information, my mind will be changed. But I'm going to tell you right now, you ain't changing my mind on thinking that it's okay to make homeless people criminals. The crime being homeless. Seriously, put it in the live chat, Reaganomics. If you believe that if you're homeless, that should be a crime. That's what they're fighting for right now. This is what they're trying to get the Supreme Court to overturn. That like your crime is like you couldn't afford rent. Rent has gone up. Your job hasn't gone up to cover that. Again, 22.4 million households, half of all renters. The Harvard Joint Center for Housing study said that renters can't afford rent, according to the standard that rent should be 30% of your income. My family can't afford rent, okay? I know a lot of people, but the law doesn't exist yet as they're trying to criminalize being on the street. I'm not trying to change your mind. Whoa. Like, whoa. What are you, Black Rob? Love that song. I'm not trying to do that, and hell no, homelessness cannot be a crime. Thank you. You know what? I just want to give a shout out to Reaganomics. And again, I'm so sorry I butchered your name. I love the discussion. And listen, I get fired up because to me, it breaks my heart to, again, I'm speaking from someone who's been homeless. My brother, if he's alive, and I have to say that because I don't know if he's alive, but he's been homeless for a long time. So not only do I know the personal impacts, but I know what a trap it can be. Like, I know how hard it is to, like, dig yourself out of that ditch. And yes, there will be celebrities out there that are like, oh, I was homeless and now look at me. Yeah, anybody can do it. You're the exception. It's like finding a fucking diamond in a haystack. Isn't that the old saying? You gotta find a diamond in a haystack. Well, that's what celebrities make it seem like. I know it's a needle. I'm just being sarcastic. So, again, welcome to the live chat, the live stream. Also, I'm gonna read your comment in 1 second, Raina. Reaganomics. Is there any way you could type your name in the chat that is like how to pronounce it? I hate to do, I really feel bad, but I just feel like I'm butchering it and I don't want to do that. I apologize. Remember, I'm half maroon, as my mom used to call people who are morons. She used to say, what are you, a maroon? You thick in the head? If you're just joining, hit subscribe. But yeah, Reaganomics, thank you for having a conversation, because that's really what this is about. It's really just bringing awareness. And whether we fall on the same side or not, like, at least you're aware of what you're, you know, like yesterday, it was really bugging me, man, because this one dude was online and I never engage. I try not to engage. I say what I have to say, and I quit engaging a long time ago. I worked in radio for 20 years, and I decided, you know, a few years in, when I was engaging with these people, that it's just not worth it. I'll have a discussion, but people that just want to be trolls and whatever. And this dude just kept calling people lazy. I was saying the minimum wage, when FDR implemented the minimum wage, when he fought for it in Congress and he gave a speech, he said the minimum wage was not meant to be a bare subsistence living. It was meant to be the wages of a decent, bare subsistence level. It was meant to be the wages of a decent living. FDR also said if your business cannot provide jobs that pay a living wage, wages of a decent living, it should not exist in America. And that was 1932-3. It was implemented in 38. So, I mean, we're talking almost 100 years ago, and people have forgot that. So I was just saying, like, hey, minimum wage shouldn't be like, you shouldn't, essentially my argument is, if you work 40 hours a week, you should be able to afford to live. That's not happening right now. There's a lot of people that are working that much, and it's just not happening. And this guy called everybody lazy and said, get a skill. And I hated to break it to this guy, but I said, you know, there's a lot of people that are skilled laborers and they're working that much and can't afford their rent because corporate greed, because landlords are buying shit up. Again, remember, there's 28 empty homes for every one homeless person, okay? Hold on, I want to read some of Reaganomics' cousins. Renagenic. Oh! Renagenic? I think that's what it is. You're a chemist, 6 years in university, I think. Okay, so Renagenic, thank you for writing that out. Again, I'm sorry for being an idiot. I've been there. It's why I try to stay focused on staying up on the law. It didn't come to the conclusion being homeless is a crime. The Supreme Court cannot, will not overturn it. Hey, I pray that's true. I'm disabled, brother. I fell out a third-story window. I'm in nuts debt that I can never get out. Jesus, I am so sorry, man. Trust me, I understand. My God, my heart goes out to you, brother. And listen, if you're watching this, do you do stuff on YouTube, Renagenic? If you do, go give Renagenic a subscribe. Go see what he's doing. He's a chemist. He has some dialogue. I love having discussion. So a little shout out to him. Go check him out, please. He's in the live comments if you're watching this later. But, you know, that's a scary thing. Like, you wouldn't have thought, you know, they'd make cannabis a crime. And here we are with thousands of people. I did a live stream on it yesterday. Over 2,000 people still in federal prison, over 30,000 in state prison for something that is legal in 24 states and also patented by the government as a medicine. So, and I hear you, man. You know, that's the biggest thing that really, really, like, grinds on me daily. Like, daily. From the moment I wake up and pray and argue with God and read his word. So bad. Is that there's so many people vulnerable in our society, man. Like, just a little backstory. So my parents died. My brother was 15, about to turn 16. We really had no safety net, and if you could imagine finding your dad, I don't think I can say it on I think you have to say unalived or whatever, but he was the one that found him, and if you can imagine at 15 years old, the repercussions, the mental repercussions of that, how that haunts you, right? So again, I'm not going to go into a long story. I can do that on another live chat. So I wasn't there. I was living in California, but both my brothers, they're 15 and 17, and they found my dad. They cut him out of the tree. And really, it's hard to put into words how shattered your family becomes after that. And not like we were together, strong together, but I'm talking about like the emotional, mental shattering that goes on in your life. And if you could imagine being that young, like he wasn't even out of high school, you know. My other brother was he had just graduated. Jesus Christ, we were so young. Looking back as a man right now, I'm like, damn, we were so young. And he just didn't have there's no safety net. You know how hard it is to get into therapy. You know how long the lines are. You know how much it costs. You know how much, how you have to have insurance. Like all these things. There was no safety net for my little brother, my youngest brother, my baby brother. And you know, I have a lot of regrets too, because I wasn't smart enough to know how to look out for him. I wasn't. And I was caught up in addiction, and I was going through the same shattering that he was. And I really wish I could have done a lot of things different. I feel horrible. And little bro, if you're watching this, see, I don't like talking about this because I get emotional. You know, that's the biggest thing. People sometimes haven't lived through these things, and you have to endure the regrets, the heartache, you live with that. It haunts you. It's like a haunting. It always is in your mind. So what I was getting back to is like, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, it's not just my family. There are many people that have dealt with this. There are many people that are affected by things like this. There are many people out there that have, whether it's a disability, and I use that in the sense of like, man, sometimes there's just mental disabilities that you can't overcome. And that's what I think happened to my brother. It's like, he had done so great at some point. And if you know anything about addiction, a lot of time people go into addiction because they feel hopeless. And I think that ultimately ravaged my brother's life. But he was working at SeaWorld. He was training animals. He was going to school for animal husbandry, all this stuff, man. And he was trying to keep it together. And then for the past over a decade, he's been, oh, shoot, my phone's going to die. I'm going to have to end this live stream. Really good talking with you, Rena Jenick. So sorry for that, man. Yeah, I know a section been almost a year locked in. Yeah, man. So I mean, and that's the thing. Once you've been through things like that, I think you have a different kind of compassion for humanity, and you also get to see things from a whole new perspective. And that's really, I hate to say it because I don't wish this upon anybody, but that's what some people need. Like the dude on Twitter that was calling people lazy yesterday. I was like, man, he said he was retired, didn't have to worry about shit, that he got saved by Christ in 91. And I said, that's horrible, man. You got saved by Christ and you still haven't learned what his message is? For those of you who don't know, you know, I got his nails tatted on my, I can't show you right now. I got his nails tatted on my arm because his overarching message was love everybody. I know that's nuts and very warped nowadays. I also love the parable of the Good Samaritan, where Martin Luther King talks about this. It is amazing the way he breaks it down. Obviously, he was a pastor preacher, but the Good Samaritan is essentially like, you know, nobody came to help this man on a road that was treacherous. And one guy finally did, and that was the lesson Jesus was trying to teach you. It's like, stop concerning yourself about yourself. Worry about what is other people. And that's the same thing as like loving people, compassion, empathy, all that. 11 years sober. Yes, brother. Congrats. That is awesome. I don't know. I don't have like a sobriety date, but I know I'm like 13, 14 years now. God, I'm so stoked for you, man. One day at a time, brother. You know, I lost my best friend. I don't know if I can keep talking about this. Thank God my phone's gonna die because I don't want to cry. Lost my best friend a couple years ago. He jumped off a bridge after in and out of jail and addiction. Lost another really close friend who I became best friends with in San Diego. He got sober, and as soon as he relapsed, he overdosed. And then my other good friend that I grew up with, she overdosed and died just the other year. I lost my mom. She was an addict. She went to sleep and never woke up. So I've had this stuff haunts me. And that's also why I'm doing this live stream 5 days a week, the Class 4, the struggle, because all the heartache in my life, all the things that have happened in my life, I will not let go to waste. The people I love did not die in vain. I'm going to speak out. Whether you agree with me or not, I'm not going to shut the up. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to fight until my last breath for people who are the most vulnerable in our society. And that's what I was talking about, that guy who says he believes in Christ. Also, Joel Osteen blocked me on Twitter years ago. And all I was doing was saying, like, yo, man, all you got to do is love each other. And Joel's not doing that. And I would quote the Bible at him. And he got really mad and blocked me. So I had to say, whoa, no, I'm on your side. Oh. See, again, I can't pick up stuff in the comments. And Renagenic, I don't know if you've seen Cat Face Enthusiast who said, what's up, Tweaker? I was being very genuine with people. They would come into the chat and I would be like, hey, what's up? And they were like saying stuff like, what's up, Tweaker? Or what did the other guy say? He said something. I didn't realize they were dissing me because I was just naive. I was like, hey, thanks for joining the chat. Because I appreciate anybody that's going to come in here and discuss things, leave a comment, chat, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Like, I love you for that, man, because I'm trying to do this, and I have the best intentions. Like, I just want people to be informed. I'm not trying to convince you, because God knows you ain't going to convince me that being homeless should be a crime. But I want you to be aware. And my other thing is, like, I really want people to confront what they say. Because sometimes people don't understand the repercussions of what they believe. And like that guy yesterday that I was arguing with on the internet, which I'm not going to do today. I'm not going to get into it with anybody. I'm going to have a peaceful day. But essentially he was saying, like, they're lazy. If they're working, and I said, so what? So say this then. Say if you work 40 hours a week, you shouldn't be able to survive because you're lazy. And he didn't want to say that. And I confront people in person. Two people at my work did not want to say this. They ended the conversation real quick, and they were the ones that began it. But I want people to understand that that's what you're saying. It's not about getting a skill, okay? It's not about, and I hate when people are like, oh, back in my day, you could buy a house and a car and work one job. One person only had to work. It really grinds my gears that, like, people will say all these things that dance around it. But when I just confront them and say, so you believe if you work full time, you shouldn't be able to afford to live in America? Do you believe that? And all of a sudden, well, no. And they'll say, well, this job shouldn't. Well, why should one job? Because of a skill? So you're saying certain people should not be able to eat, have a home, and put gas in the car in America or have heat. That's what they're saying. Just so you know, if you're one of those people, I don't know who's watching this later or who watches this, but if you're saying all these other things, then that's essentially what you're saying. People who are full-time working, and that's what really bugged me. This guy was calling them lazy. I said, man, I know some single moms that are working 40 hours struggling to get by, and they ain't lazy. They probably work much harder than that old raggedy-ass dude. Sorry, I don't mean to call names. So sorry, dude. That's terrible, absolutely horrible. I'm with you. I believe some things happen for a reason. Maybe him coming and being aggressive have you the chance to show grace. Well, ultimately, you know what? With that dude, I said, because I was trying to. I really... Because I mean well, and I fight for people because I love them, and I want our communities to do better. I want people to be able to just work full-time jobs and not go homeless and then become criminals. And again, Renagenic, I'm sorry, that's just weighing on me. I'm really sorry that I took your woe as something else. I'm trying not to be jaded and asshole to people. I just feel like some people are... I can't tell, so I'm very sorry. My apologies for that. I really didn't. Plus, when I started this, I was saying, like, I promise I'm not going to get fired up over this article, but this article has got me on fire right now. I'm so angry that people in America, your fellow Americans, think that just for the mere fact that you're being homeless, you should be a criminal. Do you know what comes along with it? I'm also talking about it I'm speaking as a former criminal. It comes with a hefty laundry list of shit that you don't want to deal with. Right? It gets real tough. The internet is 99% people just trolls. It's so true. They could say whatever they want. I just didn't like that this guy was pretending like he was a Christian. Because I was like, what is Christian about you calling people lazy and saying that, like, they shouldn't be able to afford to live if they're working a full-time job? What? That's so un-American. If you're working a full-time job, I don't give a shit if you sweep floors. You should be able to survive, eat food. People are going hungry. Remember, 1 in 5 children in America are food insecure every night. That's here in America. 28 empty homes for every one single homeless person here in America. The leading cause of death under the age of 50 here in America is opioid overdose. And you don't see people, fighting to have more rehabs, more shelters, more state-funded care for people that are vulnerable. Like, it's just, I get so riled up. Oh my God, I get so angry. I got to take a breath. I got to calm down. If you tuned into this, I love you. I thank you. Sometimes I understand I come across the way I do it, and I don't mean to. I just, man, I want things to change. I want people to be okay. I don't want people to work so hard and feel so stressed. And I know, listen, I'm struggling right now, you know, and my family has, and I just can't stay quiet on this, because these things, whether or not you want to get involved, well, I know people say don't talk politics, and I know there's YouTubers that do that, but unfortunately everything's politics. And if you're an American, our whole premise of society was built on, like, everyone should be able to get involved, have an opinion. I don't care if it agrees with me or not, have one, because the people that are maybe looking to criminalize some vulnerability of yours in the future have an opinion, and they're well funded. The wealthy are very organized, and they're working to strip you of your rights every single day. Why? So they can stay fat on the hill, and if they have an issue with you, they don't like what you're doing, they just put you in jail. They send the police after you. Again, I can't believe when I say that out loud. I'm like, do people not hear this? They want to, people that are publicly camping because they're homeless, they don't want to build a shelter. They don't have room for them at a shelter, but they do want to use the resources of the police, the courts, to house them in a jail. So they'll house them just in a jail where they have absolute power over them, but they won't house them in a place where they can maybe get back on their feet and go into society. Think about that. I think that's that's the crux of my argument. So we'll house them in jails, but not in shelters. What good does that do? No, thank you. You've spoken a lot about these things. Are hard damn things to talk about. Yeah, they are hard. Like, I love sharing my story because I think it can help impact people, or it can help spread awareness, or even just connect with people. I love to connect with people, but it's also tough sometimes if I'm not prepared, because it will bring me to tears. It's like the deepest. Just imagine, like, everybody has those regrets, those things in the back of their head that is like their deepest, darkest hurt and fear. And that's one of mine, man, because that's like my baby brother, like my parents all like, you got to take care of your little brothers. And I let them slip through my fingertips, like, and I felt them right there, and I couldn't do anything, and part of it was addiction. You can't say people, if they don't want to help themselves when it comes to addiction, you can't force them to get sober. And I tried many, many times, and it just does not work. But it's one of those things where, like, it always hurts, it will that pain will never go away. I have to die with that pain. So, whew. Oh, it's tough to talk about. All right. Renogenic, I appreciate you. Please, man, if you haven't hit subscribe and the notification bell, I would love you in the comments every time I go live. And again, oh no, my battery's going to die. I go live 5 days a week, so please hit subscribe. That's why I say hit the notification bell, so it will alert you when I go live. And man, Renogenic, as soon as I get home and I can charge my phone, I'm subscribing to your channel. Again, man, if you do YouTube, leave it in the comments what you do, please. Because I would like to stay connected with you. Great dialogue today. I appreciate you lighting up the chat. That means the world to me. Because my job is a dead-end job. I make $5 an hour after they take out my healthcare and taxes, and then I owe taxes at the end of the year because they take almost so much for healthcare, and the healthcare isn't taxed. So the federal government's like, you made this much. I'm like, no, I didn't. Went to healthcare, and that's from $1 billion corporation. They can afford it. Meanwhile, I can't even afford to go to a doctor because I pay so much for healthcare. I can't afford my copays. System needs to be fixed, and the billionaires are organized and fighting against this, so they don't have to fix it. So hopefully we took something educational, informative, a little entertaining, and yeah, so much hold on, you need to go if you need to, bro. Much appreciated. Again, leave it in the comments what you do, man, so people can follow you, if you do YouTube. But that's what I was saying. That's why it's free for you to subscribe, and it would mean the world to me, because I'm really trying to do this on YouTube, trying to bring people information, education, and a way to organize. The only way we're going to make it through this is solidarity. We come together as a community. So if you believe in America and all those patriotic things or whatever people sometimes want to say, which I usually hear from people who are saying, like, the stuff I don't agree with, they really believe in that stuff, then you're going to believe in, solidarity with your neighbors and coming together as a community to help one another out. And that's what we got to do. So thank you so much. Peace. I love you guys. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for viewing. And I'll see you tomorrow.